Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Culture Capture Spotlight Podcast. Today I'm being joined by Holt. Holt, how's it going, bro?
Going really well, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Let's start talking about just like this new album you were just telling me about. So you've been working on a new tape?
Yeah, dude. I have been working vigorously on my third album, and we're pretty close to being done, so I'm super excited about it. It's at that phase of, like, where you know exactly what songs are going on the record and whatnot, and now it's just finishing up and tweaking out, certain parts. So it's really exciting. I'm hyped.
What should we expect? And, obviously you don't want to spoil the surprise, but what could we expect in terms of just like, this being your third album and just with your experience and overall just different experiences at the different levels of this thing?
Well, it's definitely all action, so I'm really hyped to from a live standpoint, this is probably going to be the most fun album I've ever done. I actually was meaning to do this album as my second album, but because being signed to Good Music and whatnot, how that played out, I accidentally made a full album that I didn't want the songs to go to waste, so that's what the second album ended up becoming. But this album is I always planned to make this album, so this is a very direct and clear record that I'm making, for that's like a representation of me. This has nothing to do with anything else but the songs that I like to make. And I've always felt like, through my process, I don't force my songs. I don't try to make specific things. So the albums come out how they just come out. And sometimes I feel like they don't necessarily represent the full scape of myself. But this album definitely does that.
And fully independent, right?
No, I've been signed. My first album came out on Good. My second album came out on another label, and I'm still on said label that I'm about to drop this third album on.
Cool, man. Well, let's kind of dive into the Good Music, your time with Good Music. Can you kind of talk about, first of all, how it all started, like where you were at, like the point in your life, when that opportunity came about and like how it came about?
Yeah, sure. I've definitely covered this, so there's definitely a lot on the internet about it, but it's really basically, I'm from Chicago, so, I've always kind of been immersed, like the people involved in the Good Music camp initially are like my friends I grew up with. So, and my cousin Mano and I, we kind of created our own lane as rappers from the city without utilizing, our relationships. Like we kind of built our own scene and everyone took notice. And I was a rapper for a long time. I used to go by the name Hollywood Holt. And over time, I got stuck in a bogus deal, etc., and I ended up being stuck on this deal where I basically couldn't put out music for about 5 years, and then I started making the music that I really enjoy. I always felt like rap was like a fun skill, but it wasn't the only skill, I had, and I would feel like I was like doing myself a disservice by only rapping when I, had all these melodies and ideas in my head that were like, I'll have like a full orchestrated song in my head, but I'm only spitting bars. So I started in that time of being stuck in that deal, I just started doing what I really wanted to do because I was so frustrated with the scenario I was in, the label I was on, and making a million rap songs, you kind of get tired of it. So I was like, I want to, push my abilities. And then also I just didn't care anymore. I was like, I'm just do whatever the fuck I want. So I started making the music that I make now. And when I made that music, I've always been around the homies and whatnot. And basically an opportunity presented itself. I saw Kanye in New York and we hung out. He invited me to the studio. Blase. I told the story a bunch of times, but basically he heard one of the songs that I did, really liked it, and it spawned from there. And then over time, he ended up signing me, and then I dropped my first album on Good Music. But that process was like another 3-4 years. And then while on my time at Good Music, a million changes happened. Like Kanye wasn't really involved in the Good Music aspect. It kept going to different people and whatnot. And now it's kind of been, I don't know where it is now, but it hasn't changed anything, right? Like no one's like, everyone on Good Music is still good music. It's just that there's not a good music thing happening at the moment.
Yeah, it's just like what's really impressed me, I guess, was like your attitude and other interviews when you're talking about it and stuff was just like, you're not angry at anybody or anyone. It's just like you understand how this is an industry and just how things work and how there's constant cycles and changes and like
100%.
And in that same interview, you were talking about how like, yeah, you were a rapper for a while, but like you wanted to make this more like hyper rock music and like, now that's kind of what you make, and like it's kind of more about being yourself. So like, can you kind of go into more detail about that again for just like these listeners and whatnot about just being yourself as an artist? Because I feel like that gets lost in TikTok trends and trendiness now and hype.
I let everybody live, right? I'm like, everybody goes through their journey the way they find it and et cetera, right? So I never tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do or things like that. I just tell people what worked for me and what didn't, and hopefully they can pull something from that. But I've always been a punk rocker, right? Like I've always been in a punk, like ever since I was a little kid. And it was solely because I just liked the music. I had no idea of the culture or anything like that. I initially heard a song that was a punk song and when I heard it, it matched my energy. It was the first song I ever heard that like represented what my like brain sounded like. You know what I mean? I've always been this hyper, like crazy fucking kid. So when I heard punk music for the first time, I was like, what the fuck? This is me, right? And it was just strictly from the music standpoint. And then over time, obviously, I got into the scene and the culture of it and whatnot. But I've never been one of those people who just would stick to one like scene, one culture, I wanted to experience any and everything that I thought was interesting. So from a very young age, I already wanted to crowd surf and whatnot, but then I became a rapper and I was in the hip hop scene and I was skating and I was in all these different like social groups. And when I started rapping, I didn't even realize that it was something new or different to the culture of what I was in, but I was the first like rapper that was crowd surfing at every show and taking his shirt off and going crazy because I only added this live show mentality based off of what I knew, and what I liked was punk shows, right? And I didn't think of it like, oh, this is going to be groundbreaker or anything like that. I just am a crazy ass nigga, and I was like, I want to crowd surf at all my shows. I want to fucking make people go crazy. Like the point of the show is to like get this energy out, right? So it started to go around that like I had like a punk show, and I never like if you listen to any of the rap stuff, I wasn't like rap rock, like spitting bars over like rock songs or anything like that. I just have that energy because that's who I actually am. So it's always kind of been there, right? And then also basically I'd have rap shows, but then right afterwards I'd leave and go to a punk show. You know what I mean? I'd be in some ballin' ass club and then leave it and go to a punk bar and shit, like as just what I happen to like, right? And I didn't correlate the two to each other until much later. But so when I started, when I got stuck in the deal and I started making the music that I wanted to make, I was able to pull all of these elements of music that I just like. It wasn't that I was trying to make punk songs. Like, I've never tried to be a punk, right? I never tried to be like a punk dude. I just am that way, and that's just how the sounds come out. But I like, the things that I love are like all type of different shit. I would strip the music down to like, what kind of sounds do I like? Okay, I like that synthy, crazy, like marble sound from Daft Punk. Okay, put that in there. I like surf guitar. Okay, put that in there. Oh, I like gangster ass fucking Dr. Dre type drums. Okay, put that in there. And I just made the sounds that I liked, and it came out to be what people call it now, right? Yeah. But there was never any like agenda or style to be a certain way. So I feel like the best way to go about it is to literally strip it down and look at the specific things that you like, right? Like almost like ingredients. It's like, I like this, and I like that. Like no matter how it comes out, just do that shit. And so I feel like nowadays it feels kind of cool that you can go back to like 2006 and see shows of me crowd surfing and wilding the fuck out. And now today it's like almost mandatory. It's popular. Like it's weird if you're not, going fucking nuts on stage. And to me, that shit is dope. I like that. Like I like that what I liked became the normal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And like, how much of that, like, how important is that for like other artists listening and just like other people trying to chase their bag in terms of just like creating, in terms of just kind of being a creator, you know what I mean? No matter if it's artists or just clothes, whatever, people that just got to understand, like, you got to do what you want to do versus like trying to do what's forced upon you or like what's around you, what
works or whatever's cracking and shit. Right. I think, the best thing I can say to that is, because it's hard to tell people who want to be artists, who love to make music, like, don't chase the thing because, based off of authenticity or whatever, because it's like these people are trying to make music for a living and they still got to eat every day. They still got to make it happen. And it's easy to talk about the artistic aspect of it, but motherfuckers is broke. So it's like, if this person thinks, man, if I do this song with this person, even though it's not something that I would usually choose, it'll generate sales. I always tell people, go about your journey the way you go about it, because a lot of the artists who are like the coolest of cool now, if you look at their original music, they had to play the game. They had to do those, like Rihanna, right? Rihanna is the coolest cool, like she can do pretty much anything and it's fresh, right? And it's very authentic. But you remember when she first came out, she was doing straight pop hits. You know what I mean? And until she got to the space where she had full control to do whatever she wanted is when you started to see the real style and whatnot. Now, I'm speculating. This is based off of what I see. I'm not, I don't know her actual journey. But what I can say to most people, in my personal experience, every time you chase the move or you do the flow that everybody's doing or you try the beats that everybody tries, if it's not authentic to you, people are going to be able to tell. And it never actually works. So based off of my personal opinion, I think that you'll always succeed doing the thing that you really love that's the most authentic. Because if people are subscribing to you, if they're looking at you as an artist, they want to know you. They want to learn you. They want to know about you. So if you put out some shit that's not you, they're going to be able to tell that shit. And it doesn't work. Like anytime you chase, or especially if you chase some shit that's like a popular trend, because then you're not a unique artist anymore. Now you're one of 500,000 other motherfuckers doing the same flow or doing the same shit. You know what I mean? So the best bet is to just be truly honest with yourself and hope that it works out. Because unfortunately, some people, their natural shit is to make whack music. You can't, it doesn't work for everybody, right? So you just gotta be 100% yourself and hope the shit works out. And have the wherewithal to know that sometimes you gotta fucking play the game a long time. Some people pop really quickly. Some people get a nice setup. Some people it takes a long time. Like, there's no calling it.
Right. I wanted to bring and shed some light on that, like you're producing and you making your own beats. When did you start producing? Like what can you kind of pinpoint a year or time frame in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. 2009 is when I started to produce I've always had a producer's mentality, right? Like I would go into the studio with a producer as a rapper and go, hey, can you turn the hi-hats like this? Or can you put this here? Can you know what I mean? I would compose. I knew where and what places I wanted the music to sound like, but I didn't know how to use the actual programs, right? So I thought, well, I don't know how to use Logic, so I'm not a producer or whatever, right? And then it wasn't until I linked up with my, like, partner in my music brand, the whole brand, LaFonz, who he was a kid that he would send me all type of different beats. He would send me like a Daft Punk type of beat. He sent me like a rock beat. He sent me a hip hop beat. And it was like, I liked the fact that he had the range to try and do everything. And he was just like a young dude on the come up, like just basically sending me beats to try to fuck with me and shit. So I invited him over to the crib and was like, yo, check it out. I got all these songs in my fucking head. I know exactly how I want them to sound. Just listen to me, make them exactly how I tell you, and then we'll be lit, right? And then we started the whole project. And the first beat we ever made was the Back to Black by Amy Winehouse, the cover I did for Amy Winehouse. Mm-hmm. And but when I made the beats, like he just programmed them, like, and saved them. Like I would tell him, like, turn this in here, and then I'd play it, and I'd tell him to save it, etc. And then we started making beats, and then I started learning Logic myself. And I've every album that I've made from the Hope project, as far as like since my first self-titled album, I made all the beats. So. And then I make beats for other people and whatnot. But yeah, a lot of people don't really realize, because when you listen to my music, you just hear like the rock elements and me singing and whatnot, but I don't think people really correlate that I make all the music also.
Yeah, no, I think people in general just don't give like producers and engineers like their flowers. And it's like, it's really just kind of an issue, because it's like there's such a focal point of like the sounds that people love and like,
yeah, the
trends that everybody likes to jump into. It's like, yeah, these producers that you don't know are like the reason you're dancing to this song, you know, because they created it. I know you've talked about this in other interviews, so, you know, you can go into as much detail, obviously, as you want. But I wanted to see if you could talk about, though, you got the Great Gatsby trailer song. Yeah, I heard about that in your interviews, and I just thought that story was like, it's a real like industry story too, yeah. Because it's like you kind of understand, it gives people perspective of like this stuff doesn't happen in like 1 week. Like a 3-minute song or a 4-minute song, like that doesn't take one day necessarily to just happen. So if you can kind of go through that whole like process, that'd be really dope.
Yeah. So I like I said, I had linked up with LaFonz during the time I was stuck in the deal. So I was actually making this type of music in 2009, right? I had the ideas and the songs in my head in 2008. And it wasn't until literally like 2011 or 12 that I was even like, this always happens to me. You'll hear an album from me, but I'll have that album would have been done 3 years ago, right? But because I don't really make music based off of a timeline or a popularity or something like that, when you can hear a song from me from 5 years ago or right now, and you won't be able to tell when it was made. Like I try to keep it timeless like that. But so we made about 8 songs, and that was the first time I felt fulfilled as an artist, because I was like, the shit that's in my head, I can now listen to, and I hear it, and it's exactly how the fuck I wanted it. And it's just the most gratifying feeling, because it's not a single piece that stands out. It's the whole body together. Like, I like the way I sing. I like my beats and shit, but like them all together making the final song is like the most gratifying shit in the world to me. So I knew that this was some different shit. I knew that nobody was doing shit like this. And I didn't want to just throw it up on the internet or leak it or whatever, because I was stuck in the deal. So I sat on it for a long ass time. And so it just so happens that I'm in New York. I don't know what the fuck. I was out there for some shit, but I was always in New York. But I happened to be in New York at the time that my good friends, the Joel and Benji Madden and Josh Madden, like they're in a group called Good Charlotte, and they're big as fuck in the pop punk world and shit. But they just happened to be my homies. Like they were just these are my good friends, right? And we go to some bar, literally some bar. Now I'm saying this from the scope of my eye, but I'm also now cognizant that the bar that I was going to is not just a regular bar motherfuckers will be in. Like it was obviously some like shit, some cool guy shit or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna act like, oh, I was just walking down the street and went to a bar. It's like, no, it was some shit that like some invite only shit. I didn't know at the time though, because they were just like, hey, we're gonna go grab a drink. I was like, all right, cool, I'll roll with y'all. Boom.
Very
so
casual.
We're in the bar. Yeah, like you couldn't tell until you were in the scenario. It was like, it literally felt like a regular bar. You walk in and sat down at like any other place, got drinks, talking and shit, hanging out. And then Kanye walks in with some dude, and I know Kanye. You know what I mean? I'm like I said, I'm from Chicago. So when he walked in, I was like, oh shit, what's up, nigga? Like said hi. We were talking and shit, hanging out for a minute. I was obviously hyped, like, damn, that's tight. Kanye just walked in the fucking bar. Right? So we're chatting it up, and he's like, yo, I'm finna go to the studio. And I'm like, bro. He's like, you want to come? I'm like, what the fuck? Yes, nigga. So we go to the studio, and this is, I'm trying to think of what specific year. I got to look this up because I tell this story all the time, and I never know what the fuck specific year it was. But I recall that it was 2 or 3 years before Watch the Throne came out. And so we get to the studio, and he plays us the whole Watch the Throne album 2 years or 3 years before it comes out. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? It was obviously the coldest shit I ever heard in my life, ever, because it is. You know what I mean? Like, imagine hearing that shit like 3 years beforehand.
Yeah.
So I'm just bugging the fuck out. And he plays Niggas in Paris. And I was like, this is the fucking hit song, nigga. This is over. This is it. This is the song. And he goes, and I think I Can't Stop was the hit. And I'm like, nah, nigga, I'm telling you, Niggas in Paris is going to go everywhere. I promise you. And like straight, I mean, we were both right, obviously, because all the songs on that shit is a hit. But, so he's playing me the shit. My guys play him, they shit. And I'm trying to play it cool, right? I'm not trying to play myself. I've never been the kind of person that'll, like, run after a nigga or, like, it's got to be right. It's got to be set up. They got to want to hear it. Or they got to want to fuck with me for me to do that shit, because I don't want to be like, yo, bro, you like hip-hop? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to jump off the bridge and play myself. So it's like, if it's warranted, then I'll go there. So I'm just chilling and kind of, playing my lane, like not being extra and shit. And he finally asked me, like, yo, what you been working on? I was like, yes. I was like, actually, I've been working on this, like, different sound. I was like, check it out. And I played him the Back to Black one, because that was, like, my favorite joint that I made. So I played him the Black to Black shit, and he just bugged out. And it was, like, the most exciting moment of my whole life, right? Like, from an artist standpoint, obviously. And I was just like, I was bugging out that he was bugging out. I'm like, okay. It was one of those validating things. Yeah. Like, I sat on this song for 3 years. So I'm like, I knew it was dope in my head, right? But I'm like, maybe it's just me, right? And then I play it for this nigga, and he's bugging out. I'm like, see, I'm not fucking crazy. This shit is dope, right? So he's bumping the shit. I'm like super hyped. He played it like 10 times. I was like, God damn, yes. I don't know what's happening, but I love it. And he's like, he said, he just kept being like, this song is dope, right? And I played him some of the other songs that I made, on the same tip. And, he was fucking with them. He liked them and shit. But the way he responded to the Back to Black shit was like, he just thought that shit was cold as fuck. And I was just so hyped. So the cooler thing was we were playing another song that wasn't that. And while we're playing the song, fucking Rihanna comes into the studio. She comes in the room, and She had red hair. I'll never forget the shit. She walks in and just starts bobbing her head hard as fuck and goes, "Damn, what the fuck is this?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, this is raw." She fucking, without knowing me or nothing, just like co-signed that shit. She was like, "What is this?" She was like, "This is dope." I was like, and then Kanye said it was me. She was like, "Yo, man, you snapped." I was like, "Thanks, Rihanna." You know what I mean? It was, I mean, imagine that. Like, the other big ass artist walks in the room. Cause like, I felt like Kanye was fucking with the one song, but when Rihanna came in and kind of was like, "Yo, this shit is raw too," he started to see it. Like, all right, this nigga got some shit. I'm like, yes. So, you know, he says peace, I bounce and shit. And the funny shit is, I think Rihanna and him were about to start a session. So he was like, "All right, man, I'll see y'all later." And so my other homies were walking out, and I kind of tried to, like, you know, finesse and stay back type shit. Yeah. That nigga walked right up to me. He was like, "All right, bro, see you later." I was like, "Okay, bye." And I'm saying all this shit to say, like, dude, I wasn't like Mr. Cool Guy. Like, I was, you know, it was real. You know what I mean? Like, I was excited. This is a nigga who, like, inspired my whole career type shit. Like, it's impossible to not be inspired by Ye. The nigga's a brilliant, you know, artist. So I'm not finna front like I was like, yeah, you know, we was chilling. And I said, yeah, nigga, you know what I mean? Like, I was hyped. So that shit bounced. We bounced from that shit. And then, boom, it starts this, like, 3-year random ass process of not hearing shit and then hearing a little bit and then hearing a little, you know what I mean? Like, my very, very close friends are Don C and Virgil and GLC and all the guys around them are actually my really, really good friends. Like, I've known Don since I was super young, and Virgil, like, I met all of these people through different areas that had nothing to do with Ye. They just all happened to be, you know, in Ye's camp. Like I said, Chicago, like, everybody knows each other. So Don is like he's one of my like close. He's like somebody as a confidant to me. Like, I will call Don and ask advice and things like that. And so I kept calling Don C and Virgil, like, yo, like, because they would tell me all the little random shit he would say. And because basically I called Don like almost right after the studio and was like, yo, he was fucking with this song. What you think? He's like, man, sit on that shit. Don't put it out. Don't do shit. Just sit on it. I'm like, bet. Say less, right? So I'm sitting on it. And then it becomes a long ass time. And I'm like, well, I'm starting to feel like, man, I haven't put out music in like 5-6 years. So I don't want niggas to forget about me. So I was like, you know, thinking about, you know, putting maybe 1 or 2 out or doing something like, you know, instead of just sitting there. He's like, bro, every time, bro, just sit on it, just chill. Like, and then I got a call, oh, yo, Ye wants to fuck with the song. I'm like, oh, yes, boom, said that shit right away. And then Don, like I said, I kept calling them, and Virgil, Don, GLC, and my cousin Mano were like very integral in the reason why I got signed to Good Music. They would constantly like show Ye what the fuck I was doing and shit, and constantly being like, this nigga dope, da-da-da, you know what I mean? And I'm forever indebted to them for that shit, because it was them, right? And especially like Mano, Virgil, Don, like they really pushed, like, hey man, fuck with this dude, right? I'd be sitting in the back of RSVP with Virgil, like plotting the next move and shit. So it's just a ton of time goes past, and then I hear, oh, you know, him and Jay-Z fucking with the song, and then I heard, oh, it's gonna be on the Cruel Summer album, and then I just kept hearing little rumblings and shit, and I'm like, just wondering, right? And over time, like, you almost forget about it, because this is like a 2-year process from when we was in the studio. So finally, me and Mano are in LA. We're at the Roosevelt Hotel, chilling by the pool, just kicking it. And like a billboard, like, you know, news ad pops up and says Beyonce and Andre 3000 to cover the Amy Winehouse Back to Black. And I'm like, all right, he said Jay-Z. I'm like, there's gotta be something with my shit. I'm like, so I hit Kanye like, hey, because I had Kanye contact, and I'm like, I'm not trying to blow the nigga up ever. So I was just like, I was very seldomly ever hit him. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit him about this shit. I'm like, yo, is this the joint? He's like, and he just his response, oh, my bad, dog. I forgot to send you the joint. And so he sends me a link, something he's sending me like a private YouTube to the song. He sends me the trailer of the Great Gatsby movie with the song in the trailer. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? I lost my goddamn mind, bro. It was amazing. Like, I was like in an airport at the, like, by the time he responded to me, I was in an airport in Vegas, like trying not to bug out. Like, and yeah, and then he paid me for the shit, gave me hella points on the shit. Like, he did super right by me on that record. And then on top of that, because like once he did the joint, I just started flooding this nigga with music videos, everything that I was doing. I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna see it. And then finally they offered to sign me. I signed my deal, put out my first album, and then boom, it went from there. And then by the time my second album was done, the whole good music thing kind of was like a wash.
Right. And you kind of brought it up in that explanation, like you were really close with Don C, Virgil, and obviously your cousin Mano, and like,
yeah,
you know, I met Mano recently, a couple weeks ago. He's super cool. But how did you meet Don C, and like how did you meet Virgil? Like how did that come about? Like I know you were really hustling, like trying to get Kanye's attention like early, like 08, 09, like at the graduation pop-ups.
See, that's the thing. I really wasn't, though. That's the funny part. Like, I never really, like, we were always around the camp because Mano was a big DJ and Mano was super plugged with everybody. And so we just knew everybody through there. But I never was like, I never sent Kanye no songs, no nothing like that. I never tried to get signed before that. None of that shit. We had, I had built a scene. There was a whole like scene that happened in 2008 that myself, this group called Flosstradamus, the Kid Sister, the Cool Kids, there was this like emergent scene, and it was like, I hate to call it party rap because it wasn't necessarily party rap, but it was like 120 BPM, like it was like a hyper more fun like space. And the issue that we would always have in Chicago is that nobody fucked with each other. Everybody was so out for self, and we wanted to change that shit. So I used to throw these massive parties, and I would see that these artists were like popping off of my parties. So I started performing at my own parties, and me and Mano started making music and shit. And Mano started the remixes, and we blew up and got ourselves signed on our own. There was never any, involvement or influence from Ye, except for when I first started popping. When I was already signed and I dropped my first single and video, Kanye put it on his blog. But I was already signed and already like making it happen. We were already like, I was already playing Lollapalooza and shit. So with Don, my father and Don's father were really close friends. I known Don since I was like a little kid. Like, and Don C, literally since I was like fucking 7 years old, has been fresh. Like, there's no like, you know how motherfuckers like, they got the style card and they get called fresh, but really they just got fresh like 10 years ago. Don C, from the start, my nigga, like as a little kid, Don C was fresh as fuck, bro. Like, he been that person. He's been Don C his whole life. And that nigga, that's just my nigga, bro. I love him. And, Don, I've known Don forever. There wasn't really a meeting. You know what I mean?
Right,
I've known him since I was a little kid. But Don, when Don started popping and shit like that, well, based off of when I was old enough to be around the shit, because Don been popping since I was a little kid. So by the time I was like old enough to go to some parties and shit, Don and them were already up. They were already big as hell and shit. But Don C never once ever like left me on red, didn't call me back, bro, he showed me that you could be of a high level of success and still be a genuine good person and still be thorough and still answer, you know what I mean? Like, literally on times where I'm like, man, I don't even want to bother, bro. He'll just hold me the fuck down, bro. If I call down right now and I'm like, man, I really need you, bro, call me in 2 seconds. And that shit, like, it molded something in my mind, bro. So like Don, that's my nigga, bro. And Virgil, me and Mano used to creative direct. We were on a creative team for Lupe Fiasco a long time ago called Righteous Come Fruit. Before I was a rapper, we would like design merch, and like I did his first album. The first album he put out, Food and Liquor, I did the inside covers, CDs, all of the artwork except for the main cover. My nigga No Pattern did that shit, like the actual cover. But we were a part of the creative team, and that was me, my cousin, and then my girlfriend at the time, Mian, and then my guy Glyph. And we would just any type of creative art, like toys, T-shirts, all that type of shit. We would make and try to make any and everything for Lupe. And during that time, Lupe had all type of shit going on, and I met Virgil. Then I met him like on a radio show with. We were on a radio show with Lupe. He was talking about some shit, and Virgil was there, and he was helping and shit like that. And that's where we met. And then Virgil ended up going and working with Ye, or he might have already been working with Ye at the time, but I don't remember. That's where I met the nigga. And from then, he's the same, like just a solid, thorough, genius motherfucker. And then him and Don started RSVP, and we started the Super Fun Party together. And, like, yeah, these are just my guys, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and, of course, Kanye is the common denominator, but he wasn't a major factor in my relationships with these people. That's why you see me more with them than yeah. I don't see the nigga yet. He's just, he's Kanye. GLC is the first person to give me a feature ever. GLC was the first artist that was, like, trying to see the real culture of shit. He was when he was at his height, GLC was another person that would reach down and pull people up. He like was huge. He was on Spaceships at the time, and I had the song called Swerve and Lean, and I asked him to get on it, and he got on it no problem and turned me up. And like he was another one that was vouching for me all the time. He would come to all the parties and shit. Like these motherfuckers was just good dudes, bro. And so that's how I met all of them, just through time and shit. Like, and then obviously my cousin Mano. Like, Mano knew most of them first, but like me and my cousin Mano are like, we're best friends. And literally every single day, we spent every single day together. So there wasn't a moment he wasn't in that I wasn't in or whatever. So I can't even remember half of the shit or who met who first or whatever. But yeah.
That's hard, bro. And I think it's a good point to kind of segue into Friendshipclb, which is your brand, like, clothing brand that you just kind of started. When did it start? Like, when did you launch Friendshipclb?
Technically started at Complex Con 2019. Yes.
And how did you start it at like Complex Con? Like, how did you lead into that? Like, what went into that?
Well, so the term friendship has just been like, I don't know if this happens to other people, but certain words, they like connect with me and just lock in, and like they kind of define me, right? Like the word friendship just a word that just stuck with me. It's everything I believe in. It's everything I'm really about. Like I've been screaming friendship since I can't even recall when I really started saying friendship, but like anybody that knows me, the first thing they say is the word friendship. And I have it tattooed on the side of my head for like over 10 years. And so when I was a musician, when I started rapping, I also was in the the beginnings of streetwear and shit. And one of the biggest things is streetwear came from like skate shops. It used to be like if you had your own little shop, you had a local shop and you made your own merch and shit. And they were like the first people to have cuss words on tees, shirts and shit like that. And so it would expand, and the Supreme, A-Life, all of these things hit. And so what I would try to do all the time is I would try to connect other brands, connect other artists. Like if you were an artist that I fuck with and there was an artist over there that I fuck with and y'all didn't know each other, I made sure y'all met. Or I made sure y'all try to work with each other. Or if y'all niggas had beef, I'll be like, both y'all niggas shut the fuck up and be friends. I'm going to beat both y'all ass. You know what I mean? Like I wanted people to be more together. Like the scene we started in 2008 was all about that. You had every type of person at our parties and shit like that. My life work has definitely been about bringing people together, right? And so, like I said, everybody knows me for this. And then we had, I basically, I've always been planning on starting it. And then the Compass Con was happening in Chicago. It was the Chicago Compass Con, the first one. And wait, did they do 2 of them here? I think there was only one, right? Because then COVID hit.
Yeah, because COVID probably.
Yeah. So the Chicago Compass Con, I got reached out to do a booth, and at the time I was like still working on my second album. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, what the fuck? Like, well, you know what? Let me do like. I used to go to Agenda and Magic and all these other trade shows all the time that were for streetwear. So I already knew kind of what the lay of the land of Compass Con was going to be. It was basically a trade show for the public. And I was like, what can we show? I'm like, you know what, let me kick off this friendship shit. The one thing I didn't like about trade shows is they'd have panels, right? And the panels would be like, you'd have like one person or a guy who works for something or the VP of marketing at Nike or whatever the fuck. And then, you know, you got a whole giant place with 1,000 people in it, and then there's only 30 seats or 40 seats so people can see the shit. So it was like always this rush to go see the panels. So I was like, fuck it, let's just do our own panel at our booth, and if you walk up, you can just see the shit, right? And so I did this thing called the Friendship Exchange, where I wanted to have actual conversations with my friends instead of like doing the normal interview question. Like, I wanted to talk to them about home life and what their mentality was on, like, you know, diet, you know, or ways to, like, my main question was to get people to understand how people got to their successes and what their mentality was like, so they can kind of look at that instead of just the action, right? So I reached out to some homies. Now, luckily, you know, I'll never ignore the fact that I have a lot of great friends, but I always believe in people before they blow up, because I just want people to win. And so when they blow up, they still my friends, right? They still show love and whatnot. Like, so I reached out to Jerry. I wanted to see if he was there. He said yes. He came by. Laylee. Now, I know Laylee since she was just working at the store in Chicago, but I always knew she was a hustler and she was brilliant. So I foresaw what her success was going to be. And so when she reached that shit, it was like the shit, you know what I mean? And she recalls all of the times I'm like, nah, I mean, you about to snap, you know what I mean? And so now these are all my friends and they're all successful. So I was able to get a great lineup of artists to come speak at my booth. So obviously, you know, the first one was Jerry Lorenzo, and he comes through, and obviously, like, the whole fucking place mobs down on my shit. We got merch going, we got a DJ, we got free food. Like, we just, like, catered to making a good time happen for everybody that wasn't, like, self-serving. Like, I'm like, I want everybody to be able to hear Jerry speak. I want everybody to hear Laylee speak, and Melody Asani and all of these people that came to the booth. And also, like, just have a good time, man. Play some good-ass hip-hop. Like, and then there's some merch for sale if you want it. But it went off crazy. Like, people bugged out and shit. So I was like, all right, it's time to kick off this thing, right? And so we started. The merch all sold out really fast. The shit was dope. The party went crazy. And then we had, like, all of this press and all these people talking about how our booth went off. So people were looking and like, yo, what's up with this friendship shit you doing? I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna kick it off as the brand, because I had like 4 businesses I had started, but Friendship kind of just took its own wings. So we took all the elements from the other ones and just put them all into Friendship. And you know, to me, it's perfect because it's a real representation of who I am. So we started the Friendship brand, and the way to kick off the actual clothing brand, it was the first event we had was in Paris for Fashion Week. And we had this giant 3-story party. I did it with my friends from Paris and London. And, like, we just came together as friends and brought all of our people together. And it was just this giant melting pot, crazy party that was just going crazy. And then that's how Friendship Club started. And then from then we did All-Star Weekend. That shit went crazy. and then right after All-Star Weekend, we were like planning a Coachella like pool event, and then boom, COVID hit and smoked fucking everything.
Yeah, so did the pandemic, I mean, you just kind of said it, how much did that kind of squash what you had in store?
Fucking smoked me, dog. That shit killed my shit. I was tight at first. I was like, because I was literally flying to London like a week after like they started the quarantine. Like my date was like 10 days after that. I was going to London to set up some shit. I had we were going to put out I was like working on my new record. I was hoping to put it out that year. This album that I'm working on now, Friendshipclb had just started, you know what I mean? And we were like event based. So like we were like creating these fun moments where you can buy the clothes within the event. So that was like our whole thing. And then so obviously when COVID hit, they shut all of that shit down. Like we had a Nike collaboration. It was a fucking nightmare. All of this dope shit that we had planned and set up just got fucking thrown out the window. And so we could have been like, oh, it's over. But we were like, fuck it. People at home, make pillows, make masks. I don't give a fuck. Like, so we just started making product and putting it up on the site, and people were buying it, thank God. And then it kept us afloat. And then we dropped our first collection in January, and that shit went crazy. And it's just been really, really good ever since. I'm just really fortunate and appreciative and grateful that people support us. You know, they support my ideas and things like that. So I'm just a grateful motherfucker over here.
I think part of that though is because you're lodged in the community, because it's like you're very Chicago to the bones, and it's like you do the softball games with League of Their Own Shy, and you hold. Just today, I was on the Instagram getting ready for the interview, and I saw what you guys put up a mural in the city, and like the first person that goes and tags y'all in the post like gets free clothes, and it's like your all stuff is nice quality. I've seen the merch. I want some of the merch, and it's
we keep a high quality shit over here.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got end tables, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? It's not just some Gildans and some hands. So it's really, really cool. And like, I think again, we're starting to see things open back up, and like, there's going to be a ton of events that you're going to get yourself into. And the logo's hard too. Like the hand, the font, it is really cool. And like, it's really exciting to see where it's going to go. What else do you have in store, like for Friendshipclb? Like, what's kind of lined up for the future?
Oh man, we got so much dope shit happening for Friendshipclb. We're really trying to go fucking crazy with this shit. We have literally the whole year, next year, this full end of year and the beginning of next year all planned out completely. Definitely like a bunch more events, and we have some major collabs coming out that are going to be super exciting. Like, I don't even want to say shit because I want people to be like, wait, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I want people to like just bug out when they find out. But we have a bunch of collaborations. We have a bunch of events that we're doing. We're going to do another baseball game like next month because fuck that. I'm pissed that we lost. And so we're going to give it another go. They're gonna have to defend their title, and then we're dropping the jerseys the end of this month. In August we have a major event coming out. We're dropping a summer collection, we're dropping a fall collection, we're dropping a specific collab for Art Basel in Miami. Dude, just a ton of fireness coming your way.
And the Rollins jerseys that were at the games, those are going to be sold at St. Alfred's, right, in Chicago?
Yeah, so we're dropping those, right. We're dropping those at St. Alfred at the end of this month. I'll be posting the actual date like shortly.
And where did the like fashion and just streetwear, like, I mean, I think I could kind of answer it myself. I'd rather you do it though, but like, where did that come from you, and like, when did you kind of realize, like, similarly with the music, like, shit, like, this is something I really want to, like, run with and put some energy into?
Well, this is, like, it's because it's something that I've, like, the things that I'm into are not based off of, like, you know, being in the know or shit like that. This is just my universe. Like, I've always been in fashion. I've always designed clothing. Like, I started designing clothes when I was 14. Like, I always been into fashion. I've always been into music. I was like, the two things I never get bored of is designing clothing and making music. So those are the things that I do, right? That's what I love. That's why it's not hard for me to live my life, because I just doing what I actually love to do. It's not based off of, I watch a lot of people start music careers because they knew other people in music, so they thought that they could do it. Or people trying to get into fashion because they see that that's like the cool thing to do. But it's like, if you know, I didn't have the spaces that I had, I'd still be designing clothes. I'd still be making music. This is who I am. So, of course, because I try to be as genuine as I can, I've, you know, developed my own relationships within the things that I love, and I'm able to be successful at it because I put the amount of work that I need to into it. But yeah, the fashion thing, like, I've been fresh since the minute I could get a job, I was fresh, because we grew up, I'm a little older, so I was before the internet. Me and my cousin Mano used to drive to like fucking Indiana or Milwaukee because we heard some store had, you know, Jordan 3s sitting on ice. You know what I mean? Before there was raffles or streetwear stores or any of that shit, or like anything on the internet. You couldn't buy shoes off the internet. So like I grew up having the wackest gear. My older brother would get new whack clothes, and then I'd get the hand-me-down whack clothes. So my clothes wasn't just whack, they was old whack. And my father said he's never paying more than his age for shoes. And he said that shit when he was like 30 years old. So I'm like, oh my God, my nigga. We was out here fucked up with the fits. Like, I had every janky fucking shoe. I remember every fucking brand name that I had to wear that was bootleg as fuck, because you went to school, niggas torched your ass. Like, I had McGregor's, Voyets, Attack Force, all the shit that you got from fucking Payless or Walmart, bro. They just had us down bad. The only time I had cool shoes in grade school was when the 5411 Reebok, like the classic Reeboks, was like on sale for $27. We would go to like Ladies Foot Locker to get them just so they'd be a little cheaper, or when the Nike Cortezes would be on the low. That was the only time I had like name brand shoes. So the first job I ever got was at Foot Action, and then technically my first job was at a roller skating rink, but like, when I was like of age, like 16 or whatever, when you could legally work in a store,
right,
I got a job at Foot Action, and then I worked at Champs, and then I worked at Finish Line. I worked at every fucking shoe store there was. And my nigga, when I say I didn't come home with money ever, bro, I spent my whole check on the motherfucking shoes in the store with the discount, bro. I was literally just working for shoes because that's what I love. I'm like, man, I grew up a kid watching Michael Jordan, my nigga, like, and I never had no Jordans ever. So I was like, shit, the minute I got a job, nigga, I was dropping hella bread on all that shit. And then, boom, Nike Dunks came out. And I was like, oh, this is my shit. Bro, I had the Heineken Dunk. I had every dunk there was, right? So, like, I think it just comes from a mentality of not having that, you know, the thing that you always wanted. So when you are able to get it, like, to this day, bro, I can't turn down a pair of shoes. My wife want to kill me, bro. I got like fucking 500, 600 pairs of shoes in my house on some dumb shit. And so it's just something that, like, it was always about being fresh. And Chicago was like a fresh city. Like, you can't be out here looking dirty and bummy. Niggas will roast your ass. Like, your shit had to be crispy, nigga. Like, so it's kind of like the Chicago mentality. You come out looking your best and shit. You come out try to be fresh. You come up to the party, niggas want to see what you wearing type shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You had to start a jacket. Niggas like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, nobody gave a fuck about toys or nothing. Like, it was like, what you wearing? So we just always been like a fresh city, and I'm a product of that shit. Like, I just love being fresh. And then, like, obviously you look at garments or clothing, you're like, man, this shit would be doper if it had a pocket on the sleeve. And then you start drawing, and then boom, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm just a fashion person. It's just what's in my blood type shit. And I'm like a music person.
Yeah, I mean it's something you're definitely gonna be doing for the long haul. At least with Friendship Club,
Yeah.
you get the logo tatted on your neck. I mean, you get a ton of tattoos, but I mean it's one.
Yeah.
I noticed recently you got it right on your neck. Was that like the day before the
Yeah.
game or something like that? Because it looked brand
Yeah.
new when I saw you.
Yeah. Because
So
but my thing is, I don't give a fuck about no popularity shit. You know, I understand that all brands have a moment, right? They like get big and then they fall off, whatever. I could care less about that shit. I'm gonna make dope shit that people, and hopefully people like it. If they end up stop liking it, whatever. But I'll never not be repping friendship till I die, bro. Like I love that shit, and so why not get that shit tattooed on my neck? That's how I really feel. You know what I mean? All I can be is authentic to myself. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure the guys at, 555 Soul have 555 Soul tattoos. I would rock that shit too if I started 555 Soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm like, the word friendship is more important to me than the brand friendship. The whole mentality, like the logo is me. It's called Friendship Club because it's a club that everybody can get in. It's something that you can represent and be a part of. It's like positive gangbanging almost. You know what I'm saying? It's like the hand is throwing up. Like in Chicago, we whatever we represent, we throw that shit up. So the hand is symbolizing throwing up friendship. And if you fuck with friendship, you in the club. Welcome to the CLB. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's hard.
I want people to like. I don't have like, I don't have political agendas or any type of mentality behind the brand, except for sparking anything in your mind positive. Like, I want you to see the word, even if you're walking down the street with a Friendship Club sweatshirt on, somebody's going to read the word friendship, and hopefully that sparks something nice. We got enough hard niggas. We got enough gangster shit and whatever the fuck. Like, I'm tired of that shit. Like, we need to have positive affirmations. You know what I mean? So, like, every fucking t-shirt you see, brass knuckles, live strong, tough heart, da-da-da-da, wolf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we get it, nigga. Like, you hard. But the funny thing is, the niggas wearing that shit don't be hard at all. And it's like, I'm naturally a hard motherfucker. That's just how I am. I don't know. Like, I'm just hard. So even if I try to be as positive as I can, the gangsterness obviously comes out in the brand itself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just being me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think I wanted to kind of transition to just like, if people can't get it, you're clearly busy. You might not have a lot of free time, but like when you do, what does it look like then when it's like, all right, bro, like my phone's powered off or whatever it is, and like I'm just tapped out, like what are you doing with your time when it's like not, working on your brand or working on your music and just working on things in the city?
Oh my God, bro. I can't, bro. I wish I could answer that question. Nigga, I'm never chilling. Ever. Never chilling. But you know what? I have so much fun working on what I work on that it's not a problem. Every time I do a photo shoot, like everything you see, I do. It's me and a team of like 2 people, and we make everything. Like, we design everything. We source everything. We shoot everything. Like, everything. If I'm not designing clothes, I'm editing the photos. I'm shooting the videos. I'm doing any and everything. I'm setting up the events, whatever. That's just Friendship Club, not even talking about my music shit. So it's like, what I want to say is this. Everybody's got their own path, right? And everybody's got their own work ethic and whatnot. I'm just saying, I've never gone out of style, thank God, right? Because I never stop doing shit. I never chill. I never reminisce. I do something and it's dope, and then that shit runs out of its time. Okay, start the next thing. Just keep moving forward. And, like, there's no hookups in this shit. There's no, I met this person and they did this and now I'm lit. Or I sent this shirt to somebody and they wore it and it blew up and now I'm lit. That shit doesn't happen at all. You have to put 1 billion hours into everything, and there's no escaping the work. And that's the thing. So I just like to say, like, if you do what you love, the work ain't hard. Like, I got, my days are like, but I don't have, like, I don't stop at 5 o'clock and go home. I don't have weekends. Like today, I found out it was Memorial Day because nobody was answering their phone. You know what I'm saying? Right, which is good. Like, I like that shit. I like those days. Like Christmas, it makes me sit down because no one else is working, so I can't work by myself, right? But I have so much fun. Like, I'll make a wallet or a belt or some shit and, like, we'll, engrave it, and then, like, seeing the final product, it's like, oh, my God, this shit is dope. Like, we one of those, like, I wear Friendship Club almost head to toe every day because I just love it that much. It's dope to me, right? Yeah. So, like, I'd be like, I'm fresh, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that other people feel fresh in it. I want people to take care of that shit. Like, I want people to see the quality. Like, I know you're not going to go wash your fucking car in Friendship Club. You're going to wear that shit out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's easily wearable and shit. And, like in the music, everything, I just, like, when you have an idea and you make it come to fruition, like, shout out to Nolis. Like, we shoot the campaign photo shoots. When I'm sitting there while he's shooting the photos of the clothes on the models, man, it's the most, like, gratifying feeling. Like, damn, look at that shit. It's dope. And then when the images come out, all of that shit, I'm just really excited and love what I'm doing. So ain't no motherfucking days off. And if I have any time, all that shit goes to my son.
Oh, right, yeah, you have a son.
Yeah, I'm married with a baby. So it's like, well, he's not even a baby no more. This nigga 4 years old. But, like, anybody in this capacity will tell you, like, it's hard. And of course, like, it sucks at some point because I remember one day, right, I was driving from the factory. I'm covered in wood dust and fucking styrofoam and shit from building out I think we were building out the wall or some shit that we were going to make at ComplexCon. But anyway, I'm in my car, dirty as hell, stinking ass, like, just put 10 hours of work putting flowers on something, right? And I'm driving up Damon, and I look at Big Star, and I see a whole bunch of my homies at Big Star just drinking and eating outside and shit. And that shit looked so fun. I was like, damn, I wish I could do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could just fucking pull up and hang out and eat and whatever. But it's like, I got a lot of people counting on me to make this shit, stay a success so other people can feed their kids, and et cetera. And on top of that, you don't get, this is why, I want to drive Ferraris. So this is what I got to do, right? I don't get to chill and whatnot. And everybody's got their own path. Like, some people are good doing that and shit. I'm not, nigga. I want to do that shit in Puerto Rico when I rent out the whole hotel. So that's what I'm working towards, right? Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so there's just no way you're going to have any type of, like, proper success or have that mansion that you dream about or that boat without putting a trillion hours in this shit. Unless you come from, multi-million-dollar family, right?
Yeah, a drillion hours is a new way I've heard it.
Bro, yeah, trillion. 10,000 ain't even enough no more, nigga. Yeah, everything's oversaturated. Right. Now, it used to be, if you had a clothing brand, that shit was like an anomaly. You got your own clothing brand? What the fuck? Now, everybody and their fucking mama has a clothing brand. Now, everybody and their fucking mama is an artist. Now, everybody and their fucking mama is a DJ. It's been open too much where it's too much access to anybody and everybody to do it. If you decide you want to become a brand, literally, you'll start seeing ads on your Instagram for, like, embroidery. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's just opened up. And I'm not hating. I'm not salty about it, nothing. Like, great. If you got some dope shit, it'll shine. If the shit's whack, it's not gonna hold. So, but it's definitely harder to keep the attention of people. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I always end the shit with, like, I'm just fucking appreciative that people still support me. They support my music. They support my brand and whatnot. And I'm just forever grateful because I know that's a blessing, and it's not, because you can put in 1 million hours no matter what, and you'll still make some whack shit.
Yeah.
So I'm just thankful that people are fucking with it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't really have too many questions for you. I do have a couple though.
Man, go
Obviously
crazy. I'm chilling.
you gotta love the sneakers. So I do as well. I mean, I started really fucking with like really sneaker. Like I'm a sports fanatic. Like we talked about earlier, I'm from
Yeah.
Boston. So like
Oh shit.
I was born in 2000. So it's like basically every year.
Damn.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So basically every year of my life, like we've won. That's like what I know, and you know what I mean. And it's just but
Hold on.
and
Not 2006.
yeah, not basically '06 we
Because the
lost.
White Sox won.
Yeah, the White Sox won in '05, but '06 we lost, but we still made the AFC Championship game with the Patriots, And then in '07 we won the World Series, and then in '08 we won the finals. '09 we took the year off.
All right, we get it.
Yeah. But like my love for sports, like I'm not like your typical Boston fan where it's like they're kind of just centric on their teams. Like I love the NBA, you know what I mean? Like I like when I say to people,
You love the whole structure,
the shield or the
league.
logo, whatever you want to say for like whatever league, and it's just like. With that being said, obviously, like, the music and athletes and fashion, it's all one anomaly if you really look at it the right way. And it's like, I would always see...
And that happened actually recently. Recently, the blend of fashion, music, and sports, like it used to be, fashion and music were like cousins.
Right.
But now sports, these basketball, used to be basketball players couldn't dress for shit. Now these motherfuckers is fresh as hell.
Sports is like the in-laws, I feel like.
Yeah, but now it's like really intertwined. Now you got, and I would literally like say people like Don C are like a huge part of why sports is in fashion now.
Well,
like,
the twos he did.
Yeah, yes. Well, I'm just saying
Jordan.
all of that shit, like Chicago, and maybe I'm jumping off the bridge here, but I feel like Chicago changed the whole scape of fashion in general. Like, because we come from the Jordan era, right? Jordan was the first motherfucker to have some shoes that niggas wore even if they didn't play sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was now a status symbol to be fresh. And you wore that shit with the Jordan and whatever, right? So, like, I think, like, our mentality on style and fashion is deep-seated in sports because of Jordan. And it plays out in a lot of our shit. And you see, majority of people from Chicago are very, well regarded in the fashion world and shit. And somebody like Don, who like leaned hard on this whole sports fashion, like even with the Just Don hats and like the Just Don brand itself, like, it made he put the quality and the fashion stamp on sports shit.
Yeah. He's done so many collabs with KD, like so many.
Bro, Don is the fucking truth. So yeah, because of Chicago, Jordan and Don, sports is now in fashion.
What are your top 3 like personal favorite just like shoe models, like, Jordan 1s or whatever?
What's funny is I designed a pair of blazers that's not out yet that are fucking insane. They're my favorites. But like I said, like I be making my own shit, and I think that shit is raw. Like I be getting high on my own supply type shit.
Yeah.
But my favorite shoes are obviously the Jordan 1s. Actually, Adidas Gazelles, the Unlucky Dunks, which I have, the Undefeated Dunks. I was a huge dunk head. I had all the dunks. And my newest favorite ones are the ready-made blazers that I have. I fucking just think these are the dope. This is the most punk rock shoe ever made to me.
Yeah, that's hard, bro. Well,
yeah.
I don't really got any other questions for you. So, is there anything, tell everybody where to find your music, where to follow you on social media, and like shout out whoever you want to shout out before I hit this outro.
Shout out to all the fucking homies. Shout out to the 13-3. Shout out to Don, Virgil, GLC, Mano, Jerry, everybody, Aleli, blah, blah, blah. you know who you are. I love all you niggas. Follow me at Holt Music, HXLT Music, on all platforms and shit. Please stream my albums because they're dope. And please go to friendshipclb.com and get fresh with me.
Yeah, guys, check out his Friendship Club. Check out his music.
I'm late. No. And I appreciate everybody who listens to this. I appreciate you for having me on here. I want everybody to win. I hope everybody finds the success that they deserve. And just keep fucking working. And when people tell you that maybe you should try something else, or maybe people tell you they doubt what you're doing, or, you know, they try to tell you to have a backup plan, any of that shit, tell them all to shut the fuck up and keep going. Fuck them all. You're right. Everybody, there's half the people in the world fuck with you and half the people in the world don't. Find the half that fucks with you, and everybody else is shut the fuck up.
Damn straight. Damn straight. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Culture Capture Spotlight podcast. Tune in again next week for another episode, and we'll be back shortly with a new one. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.